Okay, so I'm gonna record another quick rant. And this is some new Twitter drama about voice acting that's going on, and it's the reuse of voice actors, which America does constantly. And I think it's the Don Don or whatever. I'm not interested in that anime at all. So, but like I think a dub clip was posted, and people were like, "Wow, they really can't stop reusing the same voice actors and the same voice for every anime, can't they?" Which they can't. And lots of people have started to say, well, you guys don't complain when they reuse Japanese voice actors and Dio for everything. Okay, I'm going to explain something. I don't understand why this is such a foreign concept to dub fans, but I'm going to explain to them this. This is and there's dubs I still like. I'll go over that in a minute, but let me explain something, since not many dub fans seem to understand this. This goes for America dubbing anime as well, but it's way more easier in Japan for obvious reasons. Japan has had voice actors active since the 60s. They've been dubbing anime since the 60s, or voice acting anime since the 60s. And some of those people are still active. So keep that in mind. Like, you don't see people from Astro Boy or Speed Racer active in anime dubbing anymore, because most of them just retired or have sadly passed away. But Japan, people live longer now. Lots of people live long lives. Like, most VAs are in their 80s. And some of them who haven't passed away are still voice acting. Makoto Nozawa is the biggest example of this. She's the voice of Goku. She's voiced Gigage no Kitaro in the 60s, and Tetsuro from one of my favorites, Galaxy Express, in the 70s. And keep on top of that the fact that they keep adding new VAs, like every season. There's at least one new VA or seiyuu that gets added and starts recording lines for anime. So keep this in mind. Japan has had 50 years of anime industry and voice acting. Some of those people have been reused, but new people are being constantly added, like literally constantly added. So that basically means Japan has 10 times as many voice actors for anime than we do here. Like, this is literally just a fact. I believe I read it in an article, there's at least 200 seiyuu active during an anime season. And that's not counting all the people who are being reused from literally the 80s and the 90s and the 70s and all of that. There's more variety is what I'm saying. There's way more variety. It's not even a fair comparison to compare hundreds, if not thousands, of seiyuu throughout 50 years to 20 years of the Japanese dubbing or English dubbing industry using the same 50 people for everything. And there's reasons for that. Obviously, it's easier to do that. And most of them have formed a union, so literally it's nearly quite impossible to get in with them. So it's like a clique, and I'm not saying that's a bad. I know people want to say that's ego doing it. No, I don't think it's ego or nepotism. I just think it's easier to do that, which is fine. The problem arises is many voice actors don't have that much range. And I know this is hard for dub fans to hear, but a lot of the voice actors literally do not have range. You can go to freaking English, like actual cartoon voice actors, and most of them have a lot of range. I'd argue even Billy West, who reuses his voice a lot, still has a range in his voice that he can go up and down with. Most anime voice actors don't do that. They just use their speaking voice, and that gets annoying really fast, especially if in the last 15 years you keep hearing the same voice actors over and over and over and over and over again throughout every single anime. It gets really, really annoying. Subs don't have that. Like, you can go switch to the subs, and nearly all the voice actors will be different. And yes, they reuse voice actors. I'm not saying they don't reuse voice actors. The fact of the matter is, there's nearly 10 times as many voice actors in Japan as there are for the English dubbing anime industry alone. Thus, you get more variety in the acting, and thus it works better. And I'm not saying I don't like dubs. Lots of people like to think, oh, you're just a sub-elitist. I'm like, people are dub elitists now. Just think of how crazy that is. We've moved the goalpost from being sub-elitists to dub elitists, basically. Like, there's people who are elitists because they think they watch dubs and are above the fucking listening to sub elitist opinions, or people who only watch sub because they can't stand to hear anything in their own language. They think Japan is a fantasy place. And I'd argue, no, that's not it at all. There's just way more voice actors in Japan. That's literally all it is. And yes, they reuse voice actors, but it's not as jarring because they have twice as many people and 10 times as many people. So it's not going to take me out of the show. And most of those people have actual range. And they scatter them throughout several different anime genres and stuff. And they don't really, and yes, they do typecast them sometimes. Dio's voice actor is typecasted as the stoic type in a lot of stuff. Like, they want to say he's typecasted. He played Ryosuke Takahashi in Initial D, which is the polar opposite of Dio, and yet he still plays Dio. That's range. That is actual voice acting range. I don't see that anymore in the English dubbing industry. I don't. It's the reuse of the same people. And here's a little experiment. I can name literally nearly 10 to 20 voice actors off the top of my head. It's so commonplace I can do that. Got Jamie Marchi, Monica Rial, Caitlin Glass, Rhianna Pranslia, Greg Ayers, Todd Haberkorn, Chris Sabat, Johnny Young Bosch, let's think. Yeah, it'll pop to me. The point is, I could just name all of that off the top of my head. That's how reused they are. And in Japan, they do reuse them, but yes, it's not, as I keep saying, it's not, I do not understand why it is such a foreign concept to dub watchers that maybe some people are tired of hearing the same voices and everything. Like, and it's the same voices, and it's the same voice actors, it's the same voices. It takes you out of the show. I don't feel like I'm hearing the character anymore. I feel like I'm just hearing the voice actor or voice actress. That's exactly what has happened. And that's why so many people are watching subs now. That and the fact that sometimes they just don't dub the entire show. Like, Initial D, I like Initial D, but Funimation only dubbed four seasons, and then season 5 and season 6 are subbed. Or Japanese only. So, of course, I'm going to watch it subbed. It's more consistent. And they're probably never going to dub the Initial D final stage and 5th stage, which is a shame. That's literally just how it works. But it's not even a comparison. You can't compare an industry where it's like nearly hundreds of people throughout 50 years doing it to the English dubbing industry. Like, think of it this way. There's schools for voice acting. I know there's some for US, but English dub actors don't go to these. There's schools for voice acting in Japan. It is a profession people want to do. It is a profession that people are well known for. They're so nearly celebrities in Japan, like actual celebrities. And they go to school for it. They learn how to voice act and sometimes theater act. And they do all that. They voice act, and they do it beautifully. This compared to America, where there's literally no school for English dubbing anime, obviously. It's a bunch of failed theater actors and screen actors who literally could not get a job on TV or in a theater, so they literally went to anime because that's all they had left. And that's literally the hard truth that dub fans need to learn is your voice actors don't really like anime. And I'm sure some of them do. I know not Chris Ayers, rest in peace. Greg Ayers likes anime. I know Todd Haberkorn likes anime. I'd even argue Vic Mignogna likes anime. But the majority of them literally just went to anime because that's literally all they could get. They couldn't be an actual actor, so they went to voice act in an anime. And they thought they'd do it once, and they got popular doing it. And that leads to this whole toxic counterculture where they literally worship these voice actors like celebrities. And it's not like in Japan where they're actual celebrities, because people in Japan know about seiyus, right? The majority of the real world in America does not give a shit about anime voice actors. They could care less. They're literally just, no one, unless you're deep into voice acting, no one even cares about them. So I don't understand why so many people want to treat them like they're part of the creative process of making an anime. They're not. They're just dubbing it. And sometimes they bring themselves into it, and I understand that. But it's night and day. It's not even comparable. Like, you can't compare a seiyuu being reused to an American voice actor being reused. It's two entirely different processes for two entirely different countries. So I don't understand why people are doing it. What you can do is you can say, I'm tired of hearing the same 50 voice actors. I'm going to go watch sub. And that's fine. You can watch dubs all you want. That's fine. I just don't want to be attacked and being called a martyr or a hypocritical moron because I don't watch subs anymore because they reuse all the same people. And Japan has way more voice actors, and even if they're reused, it doesn't even really matter because they keep adding to the pool of voice actors to the point where it just doesn't matter anymore. And literally every single Japanese voice actor is different. And when they're reused, you don't even really mind it because you're going to go watch another. It's more like a pleasant surprise. It's not like jarring. Like if you're watching an English dub, you hear the same voice, and you're like, oh, that's that actress. You go to a Japanese sub and you watch and you recognize a voice actor, you're like, and I've had this happen to me before, I'm like, that's a really pleasant surprise. I wonder what he's going to bring to this character. I don't have that anymore with subs. And that's not saying I don't like dubs, sorry, pardon me. And I'm not saying I don't like dubs. I like some dubs. I watched Kino's Journey subbed, but I looked at the dub and I thought it was pretty good besides the Hermes voice, which didn't fit at all, but everything else was pretty spot on. Excel Saga is, I think, one of the few dubs I've watched that surpasses the sub, because I think all the casting choices were perfect for that. And a lot of people like to bring up ghost stories and shit, which I already discussed that way too much. I'll bring an update on that one day, but yeah, I don't even think you can. Let's be fair. I don't like the ghost stories dub. I don't think it's funny, but you can be brutal. If you're going to be completely honest, you can say the acting is way more colorful than anything that's being done in the anime industry today, if that makes sense, or the anime English dubbing industry today. But yeah, it's not comparable. I don't understand why people keep thinking you're comparing an industry that's been around for 50 years, that's still reusing people in their 80s and 90s who are basically beloved at this point, to just people in their mid 30s, early 40s, maybe very mid 40s, and think it's even comparable because you just keep reusing all of them. And I know it sounds like but it's true. If there's like 200 voice actors active in Japan for a season at least, and then they keep adding to that, and it gets even more. And now you have anime from over 50 years with so many different voice actors, like nearly 1,000 different voice actors for every single anime from 1960 to now. I'd say that's more varied than the anime dubbing industry now. It's just the same people. It's all the same people. It's literally all the same people. There's literally no range. There's a few with range I do like. Like, let's speak about who I brought up in the beginning. Carrie Walgren. I know a lot of people are shitting on her performance in Dan Da Dan, but at least she has range, which I think a lot of English voice actors don't. Chuck Huber has range. He can voice Android 17 and freaking Shin-Chan's dad, and he pulls both off good. He voiced someone in Sergeant Frog that was really good. So, like, there's voice actors who have range, right? And then there's people like Jamie Markey and Monica Rial, like, just personal hang-ups aside, literally don't have any range. And Chris Sabat is just using the same voice for everything now. Like, he voiced Vegeta, and that's all he's known for. He voiced some guy in fucking High School DxD, the dragon thing. He voiced Jigen and Lupin, which I don't believe makes any sense, but whatever. But at least those people have range. That's all I can say. They have actual range in their voice, and a lot of VAs don't. You could argue Christina V has range because she plays a variety of different characters. Oh, and that's another thing. She doesn't just voice act for anime. That also helps. A lot of these people voice act for only anime. If you go to Christina V, She voice acts for Miraculous Ladybug and Hell of a Boss. As much as I hate those two shows, at least she voiced and in a lot of anime. At least she has. I keep saying it, but at least she's playing a variety of different characters. What character is Monica Rial played that's not like crazy woman or freaking petite girl? That's her only two voices. Which character is Jamie Markey played that's not anime girl with big booba? Like it's hard. Like it's hard to not find that. It's all the same characters. It's all this. That's typecasting. And Japan, yes, does that too. But at least they don't do it all the time. At least they have some, as with Dio's voice actors, at least they have some semblance of variety in the roles they choose. And at least most of them can actually act. It's as brutal as that is to say. As much as I love some DVAs, some of them just can't act. They can't. And that's why they couldn't be theater actors, correct? Yeah. Because they couldn't act. And I'm glad for most of them that they can be VAs and have fans. But I'm tired of like this toxic fan culture around dub VAs, that they're like these gods. Like they're these celebrities and everyone loves them. And I get it if it's kids doing it, it's fine. There's like Ask Those Anime, those freaking thing, that event in Hawaii where you can ask an anime character. That's cute. I enjoy that. But I'm like talking to full-grown men on Twitter who are defending these voice actresses and voice actors because they voice their waifu and husbando, and they clearly cannot do anything wrong. They'd never do anything wrong. They'd never lie to us. They're just too good for that. It's like, do you fucking hear yourself? Like, think logically. They do not care about you. They don't. You meet them once, you move on. But they don't care. I'm sure there's some VAs that care about their fans, but the majority don't. And that's just the truth. That's just the hard truth people need to understand. And that's why I like so many Japanese VAs now. And that was a long, drawn-out explanation. And I know I repeated myself a lot, but I'm not. But like, I'll be damned if I'm gonna be called a fucking idiot or a liar or someone who doesn't know how the industry works or a fucking hypocritical moron just because I choose to watch something in a way I find more digestible to me. And I don't care if you watch dubs. I literally don't. I don't understand why you think I'm attacking you. If you watch dubs, you can watch dubs. I don't care. I am just telling you that I don't watch them anymore because they reuse all the same people. And Japan doesn't nearly have that big of a problem. And I think that's a perfectly logical and reasonable reason to not do that. But apparently that's just it's too lost on some people. All right, that's it. Get out.